Let's move
Let me get back
on.
to this. Wait. I have two more things there.
Oh, God, I didn't know. I didn't. Okay,
Come
sorry.
on, the stream
Cut me
expert
off.
is still talking.
Jeez,
Come on, let's
I
go.
my
didn't
30
mean
seconds
to.
about stream. I'm not Todd.
Valid. All right, so today is June 26, 2024. We don't have Todd. No big loss, so we're going to move on. What is SharePoint Premium? That is today's topic. We're excited about it. This is going to be an overview. We have so many slides. It's a little bit scary. We're going to get through them. It's going to be okay. It might be a speed round. I am sorry that I am not sharing and presenting in Teams because Teams decided today that it won't let me do that. So the links aren't clickable. We will put them in the chat later. And if you're watching this later, they'll be underneath on the link. We'll link to our website, and you'll be able to get the links that way. Okay. Introducing Microsoft SharePoint Premium. We're going to talk about SAM, which is the SharePoint Advanced Management. We're going to talk about SharePoint Syntex, which has been around a while, but now it's going to be wrapped up into SharePoint Premium, and they call it PAYGO, which is just ridiculous. And we will actually touch on licensing, and it is a cry situation, as it always is. All right, so introducing Microsoft SharePoint Premium. I got this off their page. I'm giving them a gold star for 3 mentions of AI. It was so impressive. 3 mentions of AI. So they win that.
But only one Copilot.
But only one Copilot, right. This is basically, they're bundling up content experiences, content processing, content governance, as well as backup and archive, all under this umbrella. And as we understood it, that was supposed to sort of be done in the first half of 2024. Well, it is now the end of 2024, and I don't think we see all of the things, and we couldn't find SharePoint Premium as a SKU inside of our tenants. So we are assuming that that's not there yet. Some of you all have maybe had different experiences. We know how that goes. All right, let's move on. Mark is going to give us this overview of SharePoint Advanced Management. Go ahead, Mark.
My buddy Sam used to be the bartender at Cheers. So SharePoint Advanced Management is a set of tools that should help you manage your, essentially SharePoint Premium is all about better content management at a maturity level. I think if you think about it, it takes you from, we've got a lot of stuff in places to we're managing that stuff in places much better. So the advanced management piece, the SAM thing, is available in SharePoint Admin Center. It's in all of the tenants that I've been in the last couple of weeks. So I think it's in all of them, but I always put things in brackets because you never know. And it's a set of capabilities that is actually showing in the left rail in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And if you have paid for it, it lights stuff up. So that screenshot shows both what you see when you haven't paid for it and what you see when you pay for it. That middle section, that location column, is just not there if you haven't paid for it. And you can click on any one of the features and it'll either pop up an article that explains what that thing is, or a little panel that shows you some information about it, or the settings for that particular thing. The capabilities are in the screenshot, but also listed down the left side of the screen. It's interesting because it's a combination of reporting tools. So, for example, change history and data access governance reports are actual reports where you can get information and then act on it. And then some of the other things are that really just take you to an article that explains a particular piece of information, like I think the conditional access one, I'm not clicking on it right now, but I think the conditional access one takes you to an article about conditional access policies. So I would say that it's very early days. It's got some interesting capabilities. Some of the third-party tools that we know and love, like ShareGate, give us much better reporting capabilities than this is so far, but it's a way to start taking Microsoft's view of how to manage these things better. Next slide, please.
Yep.
So as an example, this is what the change history dialog looks like when you go to it. We actually have a client who has paid for this and is using it. So I've run through all of these reports and we've been trying to make decisions based on them. So the change history, you can make a choice of either looking at site settings or organization level settings to see what's changed in that setting pool, if you will, over the last 180 days. I don't have great luck getting any answers back, even when I know that there have been changes. So again, early days, the organization settings is actually marked as a preview. And even when I know that I've made a change in the organization settings, I'm not necessarily seeing it. So again, I'm not trying to like badmouth this stuff. I really think they've got it out there and it's now going to start moving forward and offering more and more value, but at the moment it's pretty early. So what you get here is a report runs and you can download it and it gives you the details of who did what when.
And then lifecycle management.
Lifecycle management also is, I think, in its infancy here. Our partner Orchestry is fantastic and they really manage this stuff well. Microsoft is getting into this game. So this is what the flow looks like there. Basically, what you do is you create a site policy, you set a scope. So what set of sites and over what period of time do you want to consider inactivity? And then at the end of that, you can say, okay, well, you give that policy a name and either it's in simulation mode, meaning I can just use it to sort of report on stuff, or I can actually have it do things. Like if a site has been inactive for 3 months, then delete that site. So this is also, I think, a good starting point, but not necessarily doing some of the fancier stuff that people are going to want.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So one of the other things that that are part that is part of SharePoint Premium is Syntex. So we're going to just go through now and touch on all the things that are in Syntex, because if you haven't gone through it, it's probably not obvious what all the things are. And so having just a quick little summary of each one is kind of helpful. I mean, it was certainly helpful for me to retouch on some of these to remind myself about some of the stuff that could be done. So document processing is sort of a big one of Syntex. It's probably one of the bulkier pieces of what Syntex could do. So there's sort of these 3 different ways that it can do document processing. There's the pre-built models. So there is it uses OCR and these quote unquote, I'm putting it in quote, deep learning models. I'm like, what the heck does that even mean? But whatever. Anyway, it uses those 2 things to identify and extract predefined text and data fields. And so they have 3 models: contracts, invoices, and receipts. And these are sort of pre-built and you can run them on your content, and that, helps you identify some information. So that's handy. They then sort of have the next level, and I think that these just get more and more customizable as you go along. There's this sort of idea of structured and free form. I guess apparently this was known as form processing. So if you've seen that term before, they're now just more referring to it as structured and free form. Structured is the idea that you can identify a field in table values, and it works good with like forms or invoices or things like that. And then free form is the idea of like you have a letter or a contract and you want to, and they look very similar and you want to be able to extract particular pieces of information. So, in organizations that have a lot of a certain kind of contract that's built off a template, that ability to extract information and put it in metadata is handy. And then lastly is sort of the teaching method. So this is where you can really dial in how Syntex works on your documents for you. It's the idea that you assign these classifiers and extractors to and to train a model on how to extract information or classify your documents. And so that works on more on unstructured documents as well. So those are sort of the 3 flavors of it. Some of the things that we saw that should be released in the first half of 2024, I could not find more information on whether these things do exist or don't exist yet. It was very hard to find. I couldn't find anything very detailed about them being released in the roadmap. So I can't tell you other than we saw that they should have better PII detection, the ability to do multi-label classifiers. This is interesting. I guess that in the first iteration, you had to have multiple models to get different bits out. And now the idea is you can sort of combine those models together and have one run through that does multiple classifications. So that is kind of handy. And then redaction, which I could see being necessary for a lot of organizations needing ability to redact information out of content that they might have in libraries. So those are some aspects of the document processing part of Syntex that we have available to us. Derek, content assembly.
So on the flip side of document processing, there's document creation and content assembly. The whole concept here is that you can upload an existing document, much like we used to do, where we would have smart parts and stuff like that. This is the new modern way of doing that, where we can put chunks, blank spaces in a template, say for a statement of work, or for a non-disclosure agreement, stuff like that. Once it's uploaded, then you can use SharePoint lists or manual entries to populate those open spaces, and then create a new document based on that, so that you're not constantly just copying the last one that you used to have. A little bit of a downside is that it does only work right now with Word documents. It doesn't work with any other types of documents. So if you're using Excel or PowerPoint or any of that, but most pieces of content of this nature generate as Word documents as well. It works with text fields only, and it does live in one document library, so things aren't sort of populate, you can't sort of process and use the same template across multiple lists and libraries.
Yeah, you have to copy the template into the document library again. So you can make multiple document libraries. It's just that the template lives with the document library, and it's kind of like a thing together. So that is definitely just a thing to keep in mind. And certainly as a sort of extra little bit, the Microsoft Graph APIs have a way, an API endpoint that convert Microsoft Word documents and Excel documents, etc., into PDFs. Then that's an endpoint, and I believe that's exposed as a thing in Power Automate flows, so that you can do that conversion. So, we're saying they're Word documents, that's the assembly model, but you could PDF them after the fact. You could have sort of a workflow that came in, grab the document, hey, when a new document is created, probably because you did some sort of assembly, grab that document, PDF it, and put it somewhere else. And so that could be a useful way to do things. eSignature, D?
Yep. So eSignature has been around for a long time. SharePoint and Syntex decided to sort of roll their own. So for folks that aren't using DocuSign or Adobe Acrobat Sign or Adobe Sign, you can now just go to a document library and send that out for signatures. It works with PDFs only, which again is by design. And when you are using it for external users, it generates an external sharing link for you. Julie was talking about the Pago, I keep wanting to say Pogo, but it is part of the Syntex pay-as-you-go license. So you can set it up and then only use it based on the consumption of it. They are currently working on 2 integrations with DocuSign and Adobe Sign, which in theory, according to the roadmap numbers, are set to roll out in July of 2024. Oh, I don't know why they're both in July. So they're running at the same time. So in theory, those should be starting to come out next month.
Very cool. All right, image tagging.
Yes. So this one is kind of cool and kind of meh to me. We get a lot of folks, especially if they're trying to use, like, say, brand imaging, or some kind of like library of photos. where they want to categorize it by metadata, but maybe they have 1,000 images and they don't necessarily want to go through all of them and tag them all. Normally we would do that with a tool like ShareGate, or we would do that with some, manually going through in grid view or something like that. But the cool thing here is that if once you enable this, any new images that you upload, it will scan them and tag them with different pieces of information about that image. If you already have existing metadata on the, like custom metadata on the field, on the document type or the content type, it will actually take that and add that in as additional data. What it does in the backend is it creates a new site column called image tags, and it's an open MMS field. So it actually will take all of that and populate that into the MMS field. And at the bottom, I put all the different field types that it currently, or the image types that it currently supports.
And what's a K25 file? I just want to know.
I have no idea. I don't know though. There's a lot of those I don't know. A lot I do know, but a lot I don't know.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this is you can build this yourself, roll this yourself pretty darn easily with Power Automate, because there's Azure AI, image processing stuff that's available, and it's part of the Power Automate connectors that exist is ones for these AI libraries, and so you can just process them that way, and then you maybe have a little bit more control over what tags get applied and stuff. So I think this is like a really good entry level one, and then if you decide that you need to customize those tags a little bit more, you can get a lot of power out of a Power Automate flow with this same functionality using the image processing tools that Azure gives you. And when I tested it out, or when I worked on it for somebody as like a prototype, you could process a lot of images before you even got charged, and after that it was pennies. So I think unless you have a huge amount of content that you're constantly processing, you maybe could level this up a little bit and move the maturity thing up without actually having to use SharePoint Premium for it.
Fair. One thing I want to point out with all of these pay-as-you-go pieces, Microsoft, they want to drive adoption here. So they're offering a free trial till June of 2025. You just need to sign up for the pay-as-you-go option, and I'm assuming put a credit card in for validation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all the things, document assembly, content assembly, or document processing, content assembly, all of those, image tagging, you're going to be able to use as a free trial through June of next year.
And that's a long time, and I think good to like get your feet wet, know what it is, like take advantage of that free trial, know what all of these things are, sort of put your notes in your back pocket, even if you're not going to use it right now, and then you'll know when you get there, oh hey, we do have this thing and we can enable it.
And the pricing is actually very reasonable. It's fractions of a penny per thing, whatever, and we've got a lot of things here, but it absolutely would add up. But to try this out is going to cost you basically nothing.
Yeah. I want to say the content. Oh no, it wasn't couplets content assembly. It was document translation, which we didn't cover in this, but is $15 for 1 million characters or something like that.
Yeah, which is
weird.
Quite a bit.
It's weird that it's characters, but yes.
Agreed.
And
it should be words. That is very weird.
To
no, totally. All right. Transcript translation for Stream. Our resident Stream expert, not of his own choosing, Patrick.
Okay, translation.
That's how most people get rolled into SharePoint in general. They just got handed it, and you got handed Stream, so now you're the Stream expert, whether you want to be or not.
So yes, transcript translation for Stream videos. It uses the Microsoft Syntex pay-as-you-go licenses, which is great. Some of the better benefits of this is it has over 100 supported languages. I want to say it's 133. It does require requires transcript. So when you're doing your video, you have to make sure that transcript is on. But certainly, once you turn it on, it makes a lot of sense, especially in this international world that we live in. So if you record a video in English, it can automatically translate to one of these other languages for the Japanese market or the Canadian market or whatever that might be. The other nice thing that happens with this is that it shows as closed caption on the video when it is watched, which is kind of a good feature to kind of throw in there. So
yeah, I love that feature for sure. Casper just put in the chat, and this is a really, really good point. And another argument for why the Power Automate flow might be the better answer. The auto tagging column is triggered each time you update the document. Yeah, so if it's an active library, you might want to be really careful. That is a really good point to bring out, Casper.
Wait, which every time you update the document or every time SharePoint auto saves?
Ooh.
Good question.
Both of them.
Which is
I asked the team, and they said that every 25 seconds, if you're auto saving, it will actually trigger. And they knew that it was a problem because we highlighted it pretty early on, and they know that they have some more work to do.
One would think that they would have built that into the rate and made the rate lower.
Well, we could also speculate that this is why it's free until June of 2025, because they're like, yeah, we want to get this out there, but we haven't ironed out all the charging bugs and we don't want to turn people off. So we're just going to make it free. Yeah, yes. Great. Anyway, okay, let's move on.
Let me get back to this. Wait, I have two more things there.
Oh God, I didn't know. Okay,
Come
sorry.
on, the stream expert is still talking.
Jeez,
Come on.
My 30 seconds about stream. I'm not Todd.
Valid.
Anyway, two other quick things. One just about where the translations are stored. They're stored in SharePoint and OneDrive, the same places that the videos or your recordings are stored, which is great because it kind of keeps it all together. And the other thing is permissions. So if your video is permissioned a certain way, the translation will be permissioned the same way. And if you send out a link that's outside the organization, it sets the permission specifically just for that. So you don't have to worry about it being open to everyone or anything like that. So there, now I'm done. You can move on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
More Patrick, more stream. All right, go ahead.
Okay, autofill columns. Okay, so this is something I saw posted. Bill Bear actually posted about this feature. So autofill is the idea that you can automatically extract or summarize or generate content from the file that you upload to a SharePoint document library. So I think this is sort of the natural extension that we're starting to see of copilots existing, right? So they're like, hey, we have to find ways to use Copilot and build it into the platform. And this is a natural sort of extension of that. Like, hey, I want to make this metadata field just have a summary of the document or summarize information in some way, shape, or form. So this is a new feature. Again, this is a consumption-based thing. It's again, that free trial through June 2025, it only supports English right now. So be aware of that. And the file types, I have a listing there of all the file types it supports. I actually was a little bit surprised by how much it does support file type wise. That was a little surprising. I expected it, to be frank, to only support Word. So it's supporting all those file types. And this is a thing to bring up. Supported columns, text, multi-line text, number, yes, no, date, time, choice, hyperlink, and currency. Does anybody see the one that's always missing?
Could it be managed metadata?
Yeah, always missing. There's a few others that are missing, but not as egregious as the always missing managed metadata. It's the red-headed stepchild and has been since it was introduced, it feels like. All right, licensing. We rarely talk about licensing. We don't really want to talk about licensing
because
now,
it's
but it's
scary.
it felt important because it's so confusing. So we're not going to actually help you because we're still confused too. Like I said earlier, we expected there to be a SKU that you could go purchase called SharePoint Premium. That was what was implied, and we haven't seen that. But as of right now, what we can tell you is that you can go buy seat licenses for SAM still. So what Mark talked about earlier, all of that stuff, you can buy seat licenses for that. So that's the Business Documents app, the Documents Hub, Enhanced File Viewer, all of those things that are bundled up as SAM, you can go buy seat licenses for. And I put a little screenshot of it down on the right. It's called SharePoint Advanced Management down there. And that's, so you don't look up SAM, you look SharePoint Advanced Management. And so that's there. Pay as you go is all the stuff we talked about with Syntex. So as soon as Mark stopped talking about SAM and we started talking about all those other features, those are all rolled under this pay-as-you-go Syntex model. So you can go set that up. We have links and resources coming up. You can go set that up and you can try out any one of those things. Like we suggested, it might be a good thing to do. On separate calls, we talked about SharePoint Backup and SharePoint Archive on previous episodes. So we didn't go into them again, but they are separate SKUs and they are in separate stages of rollout. They're in public preview, both, I think, still as of the recording, but
I think archive
paid
is
preview.
and
public
backup,
paid preview.
And
sorry,
backup is not yet, right?
I'm pretty sure
it's
they
a little
both are.
Are they? Okay,
I
sorry.
think they both are, but we might be wrong.
Might be
so
recent.
yeah, it could be very recent too, and so we might be wrong on that. But at any rate, they're coming, so that's where we're at on that. All right, resources. So we linked to this. The third one down is the Syntex documentation. Again, we're going to have, I will paste the links in the chat for all of those people who have joined the calls previously. They'll be able to get all these links. But that Syntex documentation takes you to a Microsoft Learn page, and down the left-hand side is all the breakouts of all the different bits that we talked about. So if you start with that, you can get to all those other things, and that's useful. Mark also shared, and Mark, do you want to talk about it a little bit? The Microsoft Advanced Content Management Advocates Initiative, and then they have a premium blog community hub. So you might want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, if you want to sort of follow along with the evolution of all of this, that Advanced Content Management Advocates Initiative is something that anybody can join. There are some MVPs in there, but you can apply to join at that link. And that invites you to some phone calls and some extra information that you can get. That's, it's all public knowledge, but you get to hear it in context from the team that's managing the program. So if you're interested in this stuff, I would definitely recommend signing up for that and attending those meetings, because you'll hear the skinny as it's coming out.
Yeah, that would be definitely useful. And thank you. I think Mark posted all the links in the chat. The last one there, configure Microsoft Syntex for pay-as-you-go billing. If you're interested in doing those trials, you need that link. So we've posted that in there. So that wraps up this episode. Man, we flew through it. We managed to do it all together. July 10th, guess what, everybody? We're turning 100. Woo, we're so old.
I feel older than I thought.
So it will be our 100th episode on July 10th. We're going to do an Ask and Praxis Anything. We might do a little recapping, a little laughing over things that have happened in the past, definitely. But we would rather you come with your questions and or submit your questions ahead of time, or just little niggly things that maybe don't make it a whole episode but would be fun to talk about. I think I might bring to the table existing SharePoint customization bugs. I just thought of it and I'm bringing it out now. I think that's what I'm going to bring to talk about for our 100th episode. If not that, see us live. We have TechCon 3 EdgeCon, isn't it now? EdgeCon, we have that link wrong. Derek, myself, and Mark will be there. We have a discount code for you. That's August 12th to 16th in DC. Our plane reservations are all made. Derek and I are flying together, yay! And so we're going to be down there. Yes, we didn't want.
That's by design.
Yeah.
We're only teasing. Collab Days New England, people. Get it on your calendars. You have a few days, like 4 days left to submit sessions if you want to. And we will be, as soon as we get our sessions all picked out and our agenda put together, we will open up registration for that. It's going to be on a Friday, so you get to ditch work. Always the best reason. So come see us if you are in the New England area or you want to travel to New England in beautiful October. Definitely come and join us. We also need sponsors. So if your organization or some organization you love can sponsor the event, we'd love to hear from you. And then ESPC, Mark, Derek, and Patrick will be in Stockholm for that in December. So that's what we've got on our upcoming in-person events. And with that, we have completed this week's Ask and Praxis. 100 is next. We hope to see you there. Take care, everyone.
We'll have
and
cake.
We'll see you soon. We won't have cake. Thank you so much for joining us this week on Ask and Praxis. We love getting your questions or session ideas. You can submit by using the link in About. If you find this helpful, hit that like or subscribe button and share this content with your colleagues.